Japan's biggest scammer. Shout out to Japanalysis for making this video. We're about to watch it.
Imagine you're 18, with no skills, no education, stuck in a dead-end job, and someone told you that you needed to make $1 million in a year. Where would you get the money from? For Watanabe Mai, the answer was obvious. From men, of course. Mai developed an incredibly effective method for scamming money out of lonely men and released it as a guide to help other women get rich too. Her tactics spread like wildfire on social media, but then the cops got wind of it.
This is the type of stuff on your girlfriend's TikTok feed.
Mai's magic system is genius, and I'm gonna go through all of it, but it is unethical and illegal. That's why I've rebranded it to the Scammer System.
We're giving people bad ideas.
Pay attention so you don't become a victim, and obviously, do not use it.
Okay.
Alright gang, listen up. The first thing you have to do is S, select your target. Not every guy is a good target, so if you don't choose the right ones, you're gonna waste a lot of time. Broke losers are out. You gotta find a guy who's good at making money, but bad at holding on to it.
That's exactly right.
The perfect mark is a guy who's lonely, isolated, and has no hobbies. A guy who has no meaning in life, who's not fulfilled. Ideally, he has nobody who relies on him and no interactions with women.
If this is you, you better pay attention.
The reason Mai knows this is the best type of man to target is because she used to work in what the Japanese call the night industry, if you know what I'm saying. One evening, she desperately texted every guy on her contact list asking for money, and the only reply she got was from the loneliest, most unfulfilled guy she knew. When it comes to the kind of guy you should avoid, Mai recommends staying away from playboys and F-boys, the kind of guys who are—
I have to say, there's plenty of those girls that are super nice and very beautiful and very lovely, and you're very nice.
are self-centered and only interested in physical relationship. As I mentioned earlier, you want a guy who's unfulfilled and lonely, so you should avoid guys who have a fulfilling life.
She ain't gonna get me.
And you gotta avoid guys who are full of themselves. Guys who flash money around may seem like ideal targets, but they're savvy and self-centered, making them difficult to manipulate. Now that you've selected your target, it's time to C, cultivate trust.
信頼関係構築、知らない人とか、最近知り合った人とか、お金くれないとか言われたとしても、渡そうと。
思わないね、普通の人は。やばいやつから声かけられたってなるね。
If he doesn't trust you, why would he give you money? So, you gotta make him trust you. The best way to do that is to make him feel like you're his girlfriend. That means texting him all the time, every day, when you wake up, throughout the day, before you go to sleep. You need to make him feel like he's special to you.
おじくんと話してると落ち着くな。
This is a full-time
私男の人
job.
苦手なんだけど、おじくんと話せるんだ。俺って特別なんだって思わせるよね。
She worked for
騙せ
it.
るって言ってんじゃん。やっぱ騙そうとしてる。うっそ。
The next thing you gotta do is learn everything about him. Stuff like, what time does he wake up? What does he do on his days off? What was his childhood like? If you skip this step and try to extract money without making him fully trust you, he'll get suspicious and you will fail. Mai gives examples of her favorite messages to use on guys. Stuff like, messaging you first thing in the morning has become the highlight of my day, and it feels so nice to say goodnight to you. Okay, now that you've got him to
That's
trust you,
so
it's time for the fun
cheesy.
part, extracting cash. To do this, we will start by A, arousing concern. Basically, you need to make him think that you're in danger.
Hey, yo, this is crazy. Like, imagine if you went through life never interacting with females, and then this beautiful woman comes and tells you all this stuff. You wouldn't know that it's a scam because you have no prior experience to understand that that type of behavior isn't normal to any man, especially one who isn't physically attractive or has money or whatever, man. This is nuts. And watch, she's about to gaslight heavy.
And that the solution is for him to give you some money. Mai refers to this part as casting a spell on him.
You're a complete sociopath.
Don't interrupt.
To start, abruptly stop texting him for 2, 3, or even 4 days. He'll get worried about you and probably spam you with messages. Don't open them. Hold out. Once he's ready, find a time when you think he's home and ready to have a conversation. Say something like,
I'm sorry I didn't message you, but I was too embarrassed to tell you what I've been dealing with. I'm being chased by debt collectors.
Don't elaborate. Make him ask for details and slowly trickle them out to him. Make sure you're ready with
That's
your
so
story.
messed up.
Prepare all the specific details beforehand.
Example, I'm behind on rent.
He'll say, since when?
2 months ago.
Why haven't you paid?
The economy, medical bills, whatever.
What happens if you don't pay?
I could get evicted. Or
Japan analysis. Did you read this girl's manual? How do you know this stuff so well?
my parents might find out.
If you've done things correctly, you now have a trusting guy who's sympathetic to your financial troubles. Now, is it time to ask him for money?
No.
Actually, Mai never directly asks for money. Instead, the next step is to mention solutions that don't really solve the problem. These are things like,
I've been talking to someone who says he'll lend me the money, but he's connected to the Yakuza.
obviously, your guy doesn't want you to get money from the Yakuza, but he's probably not ready to pay yet. So his
Biggest
first instinct will be to come up with
manipulators.
all kinds of solutions that get him off the hook. Things like, have you considered speaking to a lawyer?
Men will do this
or
too.
have you asked your parents for help? He's like a worm
Both
trying to
sexes
wriggle
do this.
away. Anticipate these questions and be ready with answers. Things that make him feel bad, like,
Lawyer, I told you about this because I trust you. I don't want to tell somebody else about this.
or,
Go to my parents. They hate me. I ran away from home, remember?
at this point, if you've done everything right and he trusts you, he will offer to pay your debt. Mai has a rule where you have to refuse the first time, but eventually give in
My
and
girlfriend
accept
used to
his
use
money.
that one on me all the time.
Success! But it's not over yet. The next part is crucial. You need to make him feel like a hero. Mai calls this part aftercare,
お金いただいた後は、ちゃんと水道におじのおかげで助かってありがとうって伝えてあげるのが働きやすい。
and she stresses, seriously, look how many extra characters she added here for emphasis, that this aftercare is the most important step. You need to make him feel like a white knight who saved the princess. Say things like,
Thank you so much. You've given me a place to sleep tonight.
give him a breakdown of exactly how you spent the money. Hint at your bright romantic future together and tell him what horrible things might have happened if it wasn't for him.
If I hadn't met you, I might be dead right now.
Or,
You saved my life. Please don't ever leave me.
you need to make sure that he feels warm and fuzzy about giving you the money. If you skip this step, who knows what could happen? But if you did it correctly, this sets you up in perfect position to end or repeat. If Mai thinks the guy doesn't have any more cash left, or if she's put him in too much debt already, she'll
My
try to let the
question is,
conversation
like,
die out.
does she
and move on
ever,
to the
like,
next
meet
guy.
these guys
But
in
most of the
person?
time,
That's
if you
the part
wait
I
a
don't
few
really
weeks or
understand.
months, you can loop back to the start and try to get money from him all over again. Mai says most of her targets pay her more than once.
生きてるおじさん。
ほうほうほう。
ガインガインってなっちゃって、おじがお休みとか送ってくるから。
今
後で電話してみる。あ、この人はもう2000万以上いただいてます。
マジで
はい。
Did she just say this guy gave him 135K? Please tell me this woman is in jail.
She even has a guy who buys her the new iPhone every year. In her 4-year career, it's likely that Mai scammed over $2 million US from desperate men, and she was proud of it too. Mai didn't hide her lifestyle at all. She even brought $60K in cash to this interview.
Oh, Yasumi.
The interviewer is a massive Japanese YouTuber, and the reason it happened at all is because she's a fan of his and was spamming him for attention. He asked really good questions, and she ended up looking pretty bad.
2億円人からもらってるわけじゃないですか。それは収入としてちゃんとやってるの？
何の話ね。
確定申告的なやつだよ。
知らなかった。
お前脱税してるのそれ。まあやばくないマジで犯罪者なんだけどこの人。犯罪者だよお前普
じゃあこれ、
通に。お前逮捕だよもう。お前逮捕。
She's so
お前捕
manipulative.
まえるからね。もう嘘つきでしょ。でしかも嘘つきを量産させてるよ。お前とんでもない嘘つきだよ。
But she's dumb enough
よ
to
くイ
just
ンタ
like
ビュー出て
say
くれ
all
た
this
ね。逆
stuff.
に。
Afterwards, she threatened to go to the cops if he released it, but he released it anyways. Giga Chad. Why did Mai want to be in the public eye so badly? Perhaps she just wanted attention, but there was another reason. The guide we went through earlier, she was selling it for $300 a pop, and business was booming.
Yo, this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Women like this selling a guide on how to scam men. I don't really want to admit this, but my ex-girlfriend, she was getting videos like this. Oh my God, I'm stuck and I need money. I'm on a work trip and my boss didn't come through with the money, so I need you to send me money right now or I won't have anywhere to sleep. Women that you may be interacting with are getting fed this type of information on TikTok. It makes the world a lot more dangerous than you think it might be. Be aware of that.
どれぐらい今まで購入者がいたの？何人ぐらい？ 2000人以上。まあ、ナミさん。
This dude is dunking on
This
her.
was the beginning of the end for Mai.
Please don't
Remember when
buy
I
her
mentioned that aftercare is the most important part? Another reason for this is because guys who feel scammed go to the cops. Unfortunately for Mai, some of her students must have skipped that chapter, specifically 19-year-old convenience store employee Ieda Miku, who, after buying Mai's guide, scammed around $100,000 out of two men by lying that she was going to be forced to appear in a certain kind of video if they didn't help her. After they paid her, she didn't do any aftercare. In fact, you could say she did negative aftercare. To both men, she sent a message, "Miku has been kidnapped," and blocked them. And when two men bring such an absurd story to the Nagoya police within 1 month, they start to connect the
Lazy.
dots. They quickly tracked down and arrested Miku, found the guide on her phone, and then arrested Mai for aiding and abetting. This put Mai's face on the news, which made quite a few of her past victims realize they were scammed and go to the cops. Because guys were finally coming forward, they were able to arrest Mai 2 more times over the next couple months. One of the most interesting things they found after arresting her is that she never had any savings. She was essentially living paycheck to paycheck. Well, other people's
She's a
paycheck to
mastermind.
paycheck. Every month, she was spending all of the money she received. On what, you might ask? Host clubs. A host club is a place where women pay for the company of charming men. Hosts give them attention and entertain them with conversation and alcohol in a controlled social setting.
Bro,
Host
this
clubs
is
can
what
be
I'm
cheap if
talking
you go
about.
once in a while. The first visit is heavily discounted, but if you become a regular, they're really expensive. In Mai's case, she was a bit more than a regular.
これはホストクラブに使えます。
She fell in love with the host, specifically this guy, and spent so much money at the club, the staff started calling her Mother Teresa. The only reason Mai started scamming was host clubs. Before host clubs, Mai was just a normal student with a part-time job.
When I was in
Host clubs
Japan.
made her want money, which is why she got into night work. That
We met
still
a couple
didn't make
dudes who
enough,
worked at a
so she
host
started
club.
scamming her clients. In the end, host clubs were her downfall. Even when she was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, she was living in capsule hotels, so she had more money to spend at the host club. On October 27th,
This is
Mai
so
was in the news
ironic.
again, the 4th time in 2 months. But this time, it wasn't her being arrested, it was her host and his manager. They were arrested for knowingly receiving dirty money from Mai. But how can they prove the hosts knew the money was dirty? How about a text message found on Mai's phone from the host saying, "I'm your accomplice now, I'll be arrested with you"? Speaking of this host guy, everyone's talking about this fish-shaped kettle of his. Apparently, he bought it for like $25 on Amazon and served Mai soft drinks in it. For this luxurious service, he charged her around $100,000.
Don't let that be you.
On November 3rd, Mai appeared in court. Her appearance had changed a lot, and she was wearing glasses. She pled guilty to both aiding the scams with the guide and the scams that she did herself. The only new information we learned during the trial is that she has a husband who's Vietnamese. She hasn't been sentenced yet, and there's another trial coming in December.
よろしくあるとしたら、コメント欄はどうなりますか？考えるこの使うなら。
いや、わかんない。それはリリちゃん可愛いになってるかもしれないよ。
気にならない。
確かに。
Okay, that was nuts. If you see any of this behavior in any women that you interact with, you better cut that off. I don't care how cute she is. Scammers like this exist. Anybody who's ever dealt with a narcissist or a liar know what I'm talking about. At least you figure it out after the fact. If you are going through this currently, I would suggest ask some people around you who you care about what they think. Take a deep look on how you feel about the relationship you have. You could be in one of these situations or something less severe, still being taken advantage of. Stay safe out there. To be honest, this reminds me female version of the Tinder Swindler, which if you haven't seen is a Netflix series. A man who pretends to be very rich and wants to marry these women, coerces them and scams them in the same method. He acts like there's violence being acted against him, messes with the person's head, and they end up sending him money because they care about him. Doesn't surprise me that there's a female version of this. This is probably very prevalent in a lot of parts of the world. This information is being fed on these social media platforms. If you have a person in a financially dire situation, a person who is okay with lying, they could be listening to this information using it on you or other people. Check people's values. Make sure that they care about being honest. Hopefully that's a value that you hold, and just make sure that the people around you also hold that same value. You never know. I mean, you could be the next one of these guys. Let's hope not. This applies for women too, you know what I'm saying? Like a dude could easily do this to you. Be smart out there. Let this be a lesson. If your significant other or a girl or boy you're talking to is on TikTok all day, they may be exposed to this type of information and may use it against you. If you like this video, like and subscribe it. Make sure to click on the next video. Peace.